Sorry about that. And I pushed the wrong button. And Brad just went ahead and he just had a really terrible accident. And he crashed really bad. And he just had this terrible thing that happened to him. And he had surgeries. And he has a GoFundMe page. And it's just a terrible situation with Brad Oxley. So we want to go ahead and pay respect. Send the prayers to Brad, the promoter of Costa Mesa Speedway and a good friend. We wish his family the best. You know, Speedway's been dark at Costa Mesa because of the COVID thing all year long. And then now we have this with Brad Oxley. So, you know, when it rains, it pours. So we wish Brad all the best. Actually, I just checked today. He has like over $22,000 donated. So people are donating and they're helping Brad. He's really, really in bad shape. So we wish Brad all the very best in the world because we really, like Brad Oxley. So anyways, we're going to talk about the Speedway races, the 2021 Best Pairs Championship races at the Perris Raceway. It was really great. And it was just a super race event. It was won back-to-back by the dynamic duel of Luke Becker and Brock Nickel. And these guys are good. They won back-to-back. And then the couple years before that, you had Max Romo and Dylan Romo winning back-to-back championships those 2 years before. So it was really great. So we're going to hear from the champion Brock Nickel right now.
Yeah, my favorite part about racing here at Perris is it's a bigger track and we don't have many of those here in Southern California, so it's good to spin laps here and get ready to go back overseas. Yeah, track's always prepared nice, and especially tonight it's got so much moisture in it, so as long as it doesn't get dug up a bit too much, it should be sweet and some great racing. Should be all the same as the usual. I'm coming in as the same approach, and yeah, just hoping the knee feels good on the bike, and I'm sure it will. So yeah, I'm excited to get out there and get some wins. When I had hurt my knee, I went back to my surgeon, Dr. Borden, who has done my past surgeries, and he's done an awesome job every surgery and got me back on the bike as soon as possible. So yeah, it's good to have someone like him that I could trust and always go to, and he fixes me up and gets me back on the bike in no time. So yeah, it's good. You only get one body, so you got to take care of it. Crashing comes along with racing. It's something you have to deal with, and it's good to have somebody you could trust and that will do a good job. So a big thanks to him.
Yeah, Brock healed well from that accident. He got really hurt bad, so that was really great that Brock went ahead and recouped, and he's doing really great now. And also there was a second place team that finished in the AMA Best Pairs, and that was the Romo brothers, Max and Dylan Romo. These guys are really great. These guys have dominated the Perris Speedway all this past year long, and they're just really good riders. And we're going to have Dylan on the show this next week. He was on before, and he wants to come back for part 2. So Dylan Romo is a sensational rider along with his brother Max, and they're probably going to be going to Europe anytime soon and racing. They're just behind Luke and Brock, and I wouldn't be surprised if those guys, they went back to Europe and they went ahead and burned it up. They're ready, especially Max. Max is ready to go ahead and tear it up. So let's hear from Max Romo.
Yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated, we the one.
A typical day in the off season for us pretty much just looks like going to Milestone MX. It's a good place to just go and hit your marks and try and make every lap count.
To be honest with you, it's the only track that we have in Southern California really to hit practice and be able to do that. We show up and we want to have as much done on the bikes as possible. I mean, really, you want to be able to check tire pressure, do your clutch, basically just throw fuel in it and be able to bump off and go.
If you want to go anywhere in this sport, you have to be able to make a decent start, because other than that, you'd have to be a pretty spectacular rider to come from the back every time. But at the same time, you know, it's a great day to go out there and practice different things on your starts. You can change the different way you put your clutch together. You can do all kinds of different things that help the bike move forward off of a start.
We're always trying to get that little bit of an edge to, you know, just make it go that much quicker. So right when we get finished setting up, you know, we go and check out the track. And for the most part, what we're looking for is just the best line around it. You know, and I mean, in practice, you're trying everything different. You're trying some things that you might not do in a normal race. But I mean, at times you might find yourself in that situation. And I mean, just getting yourself experienced on the bike and, you know, hitting different lines or whatever is, you know, it just opens up your world of options while you're racing. When you see us kicking the ground, or, you know, like, you know, seeing us rub our feet on the, you know, on the gravel, we'll be just looking for if it's sticky, if it's dry, you know, and when you do that, you kind of get an idea of how long the track may last.
It has to be one of the most important parts of the night. That's what's cool about Milestone as well. You can just go out there, do 3 or 4 laps on the bike at a really slow, easy pace and have no troubles at all and figure out what's going on. But on a typical race night, that's never how it is. It's a different racetrack every night you show up to the track, and to walk it and see what is going on with that track, you can typically judge because you've ridden on a track similar to what it was, but no racetrack is ever the same 2 times in a row.
You know, people, especially when we go to big crowds, they love the wheelies and they love them when they're synchronized. You know, that's also one of the funnest parts about riding the bikes and going out to practices, is being able to do that and not worry about it.
It's not all taken seriously, you know. The day you take it 100% seriously and the day you don't have any more fun with it is the day that, you know, you shouldn't be doing it anymore.
People are just interested in what we're doing on the track. They generally see flat track bikes and all that stuff over there, so when they see a Speedway bike, you know, it's really different. I mean, that's the whole idea, is just, you know, not only growing our personal brand and our name and all of our sponsors and advertising them, but, you know, growing the sport as a whole.
We expect big things from each other, so to have this practice and be able to go out and do this every week, it keeps me really motivated and focused on what's to come in the following year. We're looking forward to the 2019 race season.
And this is what we practice for.
Those guys are good, the Romo brothers, and they're just one of the top riders in the United States, the young guns. And then you got Luke Becker and Brock Nickel. Those guys are 4 of the top riders, really, and they were in the finals for the best pairs. So that should tell you something. I mean, these guys are polished, they're good, and they're ready to race Speedway. They're really good. And there's one more rider who's really good, and he's a member of the Wolverhampton Wolves. And I think he's racing like in the Polish League. And this guy has lots of teams that want him. He's really a sensational little rider, and he's just really good. And that's number 22, Luke Becker. Yeah, that was Luke Becker riding that bike. He's just really sensational. And he was on the championship team with Brock Nickel. But we had another podium team, and that was Chris Kerr and Blake Borello team. They finished third place, and they were on the podium. Chris rides his part-time. He's a family guy, and he has a full-time job, so he kind of doesn't want to get hurt. So he rides Speedway like he picks and chooses when he wants to ride a Speedway race, and he's really good, Chris Kerr. I mean, that guy raced in the British League for like 4 years, and he can come back after a year layoff and be on the podium. I mean, you're a good rider if you can just cold turkey come on and lead your team to the podium, and that's Chris Kerr. They call him the firecracker. Why? Because he rides like a firecracker. I mean, Chris Kerr, when he rides hard, and he rides, he really goes for it. A lot of these riders like Dylan and Max and Brock and Luke, they're very smooth. They ride really nice and smooth. They ride really nice. But Chris just rides really hard, and he really dives in there, and he's a firecracker. That's why we call him the firecracker. When Chris rides, he goes for it. He doesn't, there's no holds barred back for Chris Kerr. I mean, he's a great rider. And he was a teammate with Blake Borello. And Blake's going to be in the Hive this next Wednesday, and he's going to talk to us about his goals and his aspirations as a Speedway rider. Blake Borello is just a good rider, and we're going to check out and see what's happening with Blake Borello. He's number 27, and Chris Kerr is also number 27. So they have a team that they're both the same numbers. I'm going to ask them, what's up with that? But that'll be fun. That's Wednesday night. And then tomorrow we have the amazing Sarah Cords in the Hive. She's a really great D1 rider. She's a young gal. I think she just turned 16. And she can ride. I mean, we have some videos of her as a Peewee, and she was tearing it up. I mean, this girl is really good, and she's a hardcore rider. So we're looking forward to talking with Sarah and finding out exactly what's going on with Miss Sarah Cords. And like I say, she is talented. This girl, she's a rider, so that's really fun. And then also coming Friday at 6 p.m., we have the SOS team. We have the whole SOS team. We have Kyle Cunningham and Michael Wells and Adrian, and oh my gosh, we have Sammy. We have all the guys on the SOS team. It's going to be fun. Lawrence, he's the manager, the dad. He wants to come in and say hi. He raced also in the best. He raced Division 2 and was runner-up in the Division 2 best pairs with Haley this past weekend. So they got a whole Speedway family over there in the SOS family. That'll be fun. That's coming up this Friday at 6 p.m. So we look forward to that. And so we had a really great week this last week at the Perris Speedway, and we just really did well. And it was just a really good night of racing. Brock Nickel went ahead and did a really great job, and he's a good rider. They had actually they had 10 teams, which is pretty good, and then they had 2 A and B groupings, so they actually split those 10 teams up, and then they went ahead and eliminated from those 10. So we're going to go ahead and hear from Brock today. We're going to go ahead and hear from Brock, and we're going to this guy's a quiet guy. Brock doesn't really like to do interviews that much. He's kind of a shy guy. But I think Brock has a big future in the Speedway world. So he's going to have to learn how to, just talk to people more. He's going to have to learn because he may be really famous, and he's going to have to open up. And he's going to be probably a world champion one day. I wouldn't doubt it. Brock Nickel, he's just really a great rider. He's focused, and he's really good. So let's go ahead and hear from the shy but amazing Brock Nickel.
Yeah, my first Speedway race was the first time I sat on a bike. I never had practice or anything like that. I just went out and they taught me how to dump the clutch and go. Speedway races are short. Most of the work is done before you even get to the track. Once you're at the track, you're keeping calm and sticking to your routine. Look at how the track is developing. And get suited up. Like when I'm high on the revs off the start, it just like starts to creep a little bit, but it seems good now. Walking to the start, you need to tell yourself all the questions are answered. Was my workout enough? Did I make the right bike changes? Then you watch the light, spin the ribbon, and go. It either works out or it didn't, and that's when you start preparing for the next one.
That's Brock Nickel. He has a heart of a champion. So let's see how far Brock Nickel goes in the Speedway world. And we won't be surprised if Brock Nickel goes to the top, because he has that personality, that mentality to go all the way. And he's just, I mean, he's really turning into a famous rider. So if he gets over to Europe this year, we're going to expect big things from Brock Nickel. So it's going to be exciting to watch his development. But getting back to the Best Pairs Championship, there is actually two groups, Group A and Group B. And actually the Best Pairs Champion was in 2018, 2019 Best Pairs Champion. The Romo brothers were in Group A, and they went ahead and won 3 out of 4 races with maximum points. And their only dropped 1 point came in round 2 with the team Russell Green and Sebastian Palomisi. The Green Palomisi team tied the Austin Navarrato and the Aaron Fox team, but the Green Palomisi team transferred in the race. So they actually transferred in the particular grouping. And then the Group B was Chris Firecracker Kerr. He upset the Becker and Nickel group for the win. And that was a great race if you didn't see that one. I mean, Chris Kerr, he was like on fire. He's a good rider, Chris Kerr. Firecracker. I like that name. he just the firecracker, Chris Kerr. We like that guy. And so he actually won that race, but his teammate Blake Borello got passed for the 4th place. And then, so they scored, Brock Nickel and Luke Becker scored 3, and Kerr team with the win scored 3 points. So there was a tie. And Becker Nickel won all the remaining races to finish with 18 points in that particular event. And Kerr and Borello also won all their races to also tie for 18 points. So we had a tie. And then Buck Blair and Eddie Castro came by, and they finished 3rd place with 12 points. Buck and Eddie rode for me, so congratulations. You know, Buck has been off of Speedway for quite some time now. And Eddie and Buck, Eddie's a little bit older than Buck, so it was really good to see the Castro and Blair team do well. That was pretty cool, finishing 3rd place. And 4th place in that group went to the young Sarah Cords. She's going to be on the show here tomorrow night. You won't want to miss the Sarah Cords show. She's a really great young rider. And then we had the first-time rider, Wilbur Hancock, on the 500s. And he just got his feet wet. You know, you got to start somewhere. And Wilbur, he went ahead and, you know, he went for it. So he got to have the exposure of what it's like riding the 500s from the 250s. It's a big step up. So we're glad that Wilbur got a chance to get his feet wet in the 500s. So that was really cool. And many of the heats were really close. I mean, the racing was really good last Saturday night on the 6th of February. It was really good. There was just really, really close racing. And they had 2 semis. They had semi 1 and semi number 2. Semi number 1 featured the Kerr Borello team against the Romo brothers. That's a good race. And so the Kerr won, and Max and got 2nd place. Borello was 3rd. Dylan was 4th. But Dylan went ahead and passed Blake Borello and got the 3rd. So they actually tied in the points. And that was good. They had a good race, and Dylan was passed at the end, but they ended up advancing to the finals. The Romo brothers, they ended up getting the win, and they ended up advancing. So we had the semi number 1 team all set, which was the Romo brothers. They defeated the Kerr Borello team. And then we had semi number 2, and that was with the Becker Nickel group. And let's see. Yeah, we have Keenan saying, yeah, that's right, Keenan. Yeah, we like that one. So Becker and Nickel, they actually scored a 7-2 maximum score to beat the Green Palomisi team to advance to the final. They had a perfect run, so they wiped out the Green Palomisi team and sent them fishing for the night. They went fishing. They got the fishing poles and we're going fishing. Yeah, I'm going to have a fishing pole in the hive. So anytime somebody gets eliminated, we're just going to start going fishing here in the beehive. Oh, forget that. So anyways, it was set. It was the Becker Nickel team and the Romo brothers for the championship. That was pretty cool. And then Kerr actually got more points than the Palomisi Green team. So they ended up on the podium with 3rd place because they went ahead and Chris won that one race, the semi. So we have the Kerr Borello team on the podium, and we're going to see Blake Borello in the hive in a couple days. So you're not going to want to miss that guy. He's a good guy, good rider, good-looking young guy, and he's really fast. So we're going to see Blake Borello in the Bumblebee Hive, and we're going to talk to him. And he was on the podium, and he was also finished 4th place in the 2020 United States Outlaw National Championship in Owego, New York. So we're going to talk about that in a couple days. And so that was really cool. We had Brock Nickel and Luke Becker, the big winners of that event. So let's go ahead and watch that race. Do you want to watch that race? when they won the best pairs. I want to watch that. So let's go ahead and watch that race right now.
It's time for an XSRA.TV live stream rewind.
Max Rummel in 1, Brock Nickel in 2, Dylan Rummel in 3, Luke Becker on 4. Let's figure out who's going to be the 2021 Best Bears champion. Nickel getting a whole shot. Luke Becker. Oh, man, Max Romo pushing through as well. Brock Nickel in the lead right now. Luke Becker trying to run point, but he drops down. Max Romo moves up into second. Brock Nickel, Shelby Tiger Rider of the Year 2019. Member of the Wolverhampton Wolves. League out. This is a battle for second right now between Luke Becker and the Rummel brothers. Oh, look at it. Coming through. Luke's coming through now. Bailing out with 1 lap left to go. Mad Max Rummel is on his right. Here comes Dylan Rummel trying to push on the inside. But it looks like coming up harder and faster. Luke Becker, Brock Nickel, 2-time AMA Best Bears National Champions. They did it again. Luke Becker and Brock Nickel, the 2021 AMA Pairs National Champions. Everyone make some noise for them. Give it up.
All right, the defending Pairs champions. You guys have got #1 plates again. Let me see them. #1 plates again. Now, you guys are unbeatable at this point at this track, and I think in a lot of other tracks you'd still be unbeatable. But what did you think about tonight's track conditions and the competition you had?
I'd start by saying track was very slick, way slicker than normal, so it's very hard to find a setup with a bike that works. I think we did quite a good job with finding that towards the end of the night, but yeah, it was definitely a struggle, and everybody was so quick. Yeah, so you couldn't give anybody any head starts.
Now in that final race, Luke, you were being blocked out by Dylan and Max. How did you find that hole in between them to get in the second place?
Honestly, man, yeah, I don't really know where I pulled it out of. I thought it was over at one point when Max took me wide, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dirt built up against the walls, so I just hit it in the perfect time, and it just shot me into the corner. So it kind of scared me a little bit going into it. I was like, oh, this is going to be a little sketchy, but it ended up playing out and working out. And luckily, we put on some great racing. It was the semis, the final, and everything was awesome racing. So
you guys
cool.
Sure did. If COVID if COVID ends, when do you guys expect that you'll be able to go overseas and race with the Wolves?
I'm not really sure at this point. With Wolves, they're aiming for a start at the 1st of May, so we're hoping that ends up playing out. Of course, travel restrictions are kind of makes it a little bit of a hassle going from country to country. But as of right now, Poland and Sweden are for sure going.
Poland and Sweden.
So I'll be taking off soon here, and then hopefully I'm praying the UK is able to run as well, because I definitely don't want to miss another year being at Wolves, especially having Brock in the team.
Exactly, Brock. You got the race in Sweden last season. Is there anything that you really want to see when you go back there? I mean, do you have a better plan when you go back there?
Not really, just trying to have a full, successful year with no injuries, and yeah, just growing as a rider and learning as much as I can. I know going to Sweden for the short amount of time I did, I came back and felt a lot more comfortable at first corners and off the start. So yeah, just looking for little things like that will take you a long way.
Yeah, and so you can get some fishing done too.
Yeah, definitely. That's always a good time.
All right, guys, congratulations. You are the #1 Pairs National Champions.
Thank you.
All right.
And that's your XSRA.TV live stream.
Thank you, XSRA, for that clip. And Brock Nickel is a fisherman. He likes to go fishing. And he sent everybody else fishing that night. So he's a good fisherman. He knows how to catch those fish. And did you see Luke Becker's dive in? He was in 4th place, and all of a sudden, suddenly he dove in for the 2nd place in front of Mad Max. That was an unbelievable pass. I mean, how did he do that? And they asked him, like, how did you do that? And Luke Becker said, I don't really know. I just did it. Yeah, he did that one. And he did that one really well. So they had actually other races besides that particular race at that night at the Perris Speedway. They had the D2 Best Pairs Championship too. And the winner was the old rider, Rudy Lauer and Ron Zellner. They are good riders. I rode against those guys. They're good. And Rudy rides that track pretty fast. So they were the winners of that particular event with the team. They had D2 teams. And they beat the Lawrence McNutt of the SOS team and Haley Perra. They beat that particular team for the championship. So congratulations, Rudy Lauer and Ron Zellner. They're really good riders. And then they had like an individual consolation that night. And Tyler Mosier was the winner. He must have really rode good because Mark Philibron, he got 2nd place. And Mark is really a good rider. I mean, he can ride that bike. He's fast. He's from like San Diego, California. And that guy is a good rider. So Tyler, congratulations on that victory of the consolation. And then coming up here next Friday, we have Aiden McNutt of the SOS team. He was in 3rd place. I talked to Aiden today, and he's a cool guy. He's like 16. And we're going to have Aiden for the Young Guns week coming up here in the Hive. And then going on 4th place, we had Mike Miller. And then we have the old Speedway rider, Ron Davis. He was in 5th place in that consolation. And then we have another SOS rider, Sammy Tetrot. He went ahead and got 6th place. And Sammy's going to be in the Hive this Friday. We're going to have all those guys on SOS, the Young Guns week. We're going to have all these young guys. This should be fun. I'll feel like a teacher, like, okay, class, be quiet. All you young kids, keep it down. It'll be fun. We're going to have a good time with those guys on the SOS. And then we had Brent Smith for 7th and Brad Morale finishing in last place at 8th. So, and then they had a Division 3 main event. And we had David Newsham winning that Division 3 particular main event. Congratulations, David, on that main event win. And 2nd place, we had Royal Adderson. Royal, 2nd place in the D3 main event. Congratulations. And Tom Bryant, no relation to Kobe Bryant. He got 3rd place. And Tom Saddlemeyer, he ended up rounding off the field in 4th place. And so we had a junior main event, a 250cc Speedway main event. And we had the high-flying Alex Martin for the victory. He won the 250. That's a really good class, the 250. They ride fast, those 250s. And Alex Martin is a very fast rider. Congratulations, Alex, for that 250 win. Because the 2nd place guy is Slater Lightcap, and Slater is really fast. So Alex really rode fast to beat Slater, and he got 2nd place. And Owen Williams rounded off the field in 3rd place. So congratulations, guys, in the 250. And they also had a 150 class that night. And it was the mini Speedway, the junior Speedway bikes. I like to say mini, but it's junior. And we had Nick Hollebron winning that particular 150cc. The 150 is actually the step down from the 250s, but they're fast. They're the beginner, pretty much the junior riders, but they advance to become the 250s in the near future. So these guys are learning, and they're doing really good. And then Darren and Brewster, he went ahead and finished 2nd place with Kensel Matsurana finishing 3rd, and Ryder Schultz rounding off the field in 4th place. So that was the 150s, the Speedway bike. And then next we had the Peewees, these little guys. They're about 3 foot tall. They're little guys with these big helmets. They're cute. They're riding these little 50cc mini, like Hondas or whatever. They're cute, and we have a good time watching them. And they're the future stars, so we definitely want to pay respect to the Peewees. And the winner was Ivy Ragel. He won that particular Peewee race. And Summer Walker got second place. Hudson Lopeman, third. Adriana Forster, fourth. And Greg Hancock's son, Carl Hancock, rounded off that field in fifth place. So we're going to see a lot from Carl, I'm sure. That's a Speedway family, the Hancocks. And this guy's little. He's just learning how to ride. So it's a lot of fun. And I'm sure Greg is enjoying his time with his son. Now that he doesn't have to race in GPs anymore, he can have a good time, like hanging out with his kids and teaching them how to ride a motorcycle and a Speedway bike. It's a really good time, I'm sure, for Mr. Greg Hancock, the 4-time world champion. So that's really cool. And, we had these great riders all night long, and we had good, clean riding, fast. It was just a really good night to see Speedway. And this Friday or Saturday night, actually, we have a Speedway race at the Perris Speedway. Steve Evans pulled the rabbit out of the hat and started another Speedway track. And it's in Bakersfield, California. And he's got a big list of riders coming to race this Saturday night in Bakersfield. It's like almost halfway between Northern and Southern California. So it's a good middle ground for everyone to meet without driving too far. So that's going to be really good. And he's going to run a full schedule of Speedway at the Bakersfield Speedway. So let's go ahead and hear about this track. It's opening up this Saturday night, and they're going to have a full race schedule of Speedway at Perris and at Bakersfield, the only track in Southern California, the tracks that are going to be running Speedway full time. So here we go, Bakersfield Speedway.
Time for XSRA.TV Speedway Racing News. Could a new California Speedway track be in the works for 2021? If Steve Evans, the promoter of Team USA Speedway Productions and Perris Speedway, can work it out, it just may happen. Hey, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so you never miss any of our coverage of California Speedway, racing news, and highlights from races on XSRA.TV. On January 2nd, ExtremeSpeedwayAction.com visited a possible new venue for California Speedway racing. Kern County Raceway Park in Bakersfield, California. Located next to Interstate 5 at the Highway 43 exit, you might have seen it traveling from SoCal to San Francisco and back. It's a facility with a lot of potential for motorcycle speedway and flat track racing. Let's hear from Steve Evans about the track location and the racing conditions of this interesting venue.
Here I am with Steve Evans, the promoter for Team USA Speedway Productions and Perris Speedway. Steve, where are we right now?
This is Kern County Raceway Park in Bakersfield. It's right off I-5 freeway, and it's a motorsports park which has a half-mile NASCAR track. It has a third-mile sprint car dirt track. It has a motocross track, and right now we have a speedway track.
So tell me, what gave you the idea to set up a speedway track out here and get the riders to come out?
Well, it's been on the radar for a while. I actually promoted a hooligan race here a couple of years ago, and obviously just with the success of Perris, which has managed to maintain racing during the pandemic, we figured we'd like to do more races, but we thought rather than have more races in our current venue, why don't we find another one? So we spoke to the track management, and here we are.
This is a wonderful place. You have about 20 riders out here right now. Why did you bring only 20 riders out to this event?
Well, we did a private test before Christmas with just 5 guys, and the track seemed the track held out better on the initial test than we thought. So we figured the next plan would be to up the ante and bring a larger number. But we obviously didn't want to bring out 40 guys because we didn't know how the track would hold up. But we're pleasantly surprised. The track, we're 2 hours and 25 minutes into a 4-hour session, and we did one drop of water and one drag, and it's holding up just fine.
All right, so it's kind of quieted down a little bit. We can talk a little bit and we can hear each other. Tell me, I was asking you about the location. We're close to Bakersfield, which means it's almost like a halfway point for a lot of riders, but you do have a lot of Speedway and motorcycle fans in Bakersfield itself.
Yeah, Bakersfield's definitely a motorsports hub, and there isn't really any Speedway or flat track in the area at this point. There's a small base of Speedway riders here, about half a dozen. We have our hardcore Perris guys that don't mind traveling. And of course, for the NorCal guys that only have one track right now, it's only 250 miles from Sacramento, which is a darn sight closer than going 400 to Costa Mesa or Industry, or about 450 to Perris. So any track to succeed has to have the right amount of riders, and when you can have them, fans, and external revenue like sponsorship, and it really just comes down to that. If you have all those pieces in place, you can keep racing.
So tell me, what are your plans to use this track during the season? Are you planning a race out here in the coming year?
We're planning lots of races. The game plan we hatched was to find another place where we could replicate Perris, do a once a month, year-round race facility. Having learned from previous mistakes at other venues, we want to make sure that we test it thoroughly enough that when it's ready to race, it's ready to race.
This place would be more of a seasonal location because of the heat in the summertime. It's just like Perris, it gets over 100 degrees, and it's just sort of unbearable for a lot of people.
Yeah, we'd like to not race during July and August, but maybe do. I mean, at Perris right now we have 10 races over a 12-month period and take the brutal summer off, and this place will probably be the same. And of course, we don't mind taking the summer off because in an ideal scene, you'll have Costa Mesa and Industry and Fast Fridays running, and they obviously run more shorter but more intense seasons. And of course, they can take the summer, and we'll take fall, winter, and spring.
Yeah, with this COVID pandemic, anything you can get is good enough, right?
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with the other venues. Certainly, we want them racing because even adding Kern County Raceway to the Perris schedule, guys want to be racing more, and there's only so many races that myself and my organization can do, and it isn't going to be enough. But we just love everyone to be racing this year.
Very good. Thank you, Steve, for all of your efforts and for a good 2021. Let's run it.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
The report after the weekend was, after 20 Speedway riders on Saturday and another 50 flat trackers on Sunday, inspection showed the track held up well and developed a nice blue groove. Good news for California Speedway this new year of 2021. While many of the state's other tracks remain closed due to the COVID-19 restrictions from the state. Keep yourself tuned into Extreme Speedway action for more information on developments in the coming year here at Kern County Raceway Park. I want to thank Team USA Speedway Productions promoter Steve Evans for speaking with us. For XSRA.
Yeah, we're going to have Saturday night, we're going to have Speedway, and XSRA Speedway is going to be there, hopefully doing some filming. They're good. Thank you, Ken. Awesome people over there at XSRA, and they do some good Speedway, so we congratulate them also. And we're going to have races this Saturday night, so it's at Bakersfield, and there's going to be a lot of riders riding in there. And Steve Evans is doing a great job in getting all these tracks going. He's got 2 of them now. The people, like he said, they want to ride Speedway. People want to ride. They don't want to be watching. They want to be riding. And a lot of these tracks they can't ride because they're government-style facilities, and they don't allow the racing. So that sucks. So Steve Evans is getting these private tracks, which is pretty cool. And they're going ahead and racing there. So we're looking forward to it. So we appreciate you watching the show. the AMA 2021 Speedway Best Pairs Championship. It was a great show, and thank you so much. And tomorrow night we have in the Beehive, we have the Sarah Cords. She's coming in the Beehive, and she's going to talk Speedway. And we have Blake Borello coming on Wednesday. In the Philippines, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. And in California, it's going to be like 6 and 7 p.m. So there's a time difference. And we have the SOS team coming this Friday in California at 6 p.m. In the Philippines, it's going to be 10 a.m. So it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a live show. And this week, it's going to be all young guns. They're all like teenagers, and they're all really good. So we're going to have fun. They're all the young guys, no old guys. It's going to be all the kids going to be here, all the racers. It's going to be a good time. So we're looking forward to that. And it's just going to be a good time. And there's going to be Speedway Saturday night. So there's a lot happening here. So thank you so much. Stay tuned tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for the Sarah Cord Show. We're going to have a good time here in the Hive. And we thank you so much for enjoying the show tonight. The AMA Best Pairs. It was a good time. And those guys were riding hard and good. So thank you so much for joining us today and hanging out in the Bumblebee Hive. It was fun. And we're going to go ahead and go for a little bike ride right now. Why not? And so please stay safe. If you ride motorcycles, stay on two wheels, no crashes. We hate crashes. We like to stay up, and I don't like to crash at all. I never like to. I like to win. I like to stay up, but crashing, no way. And so thank you so much for joining us tomorrow night and tomorrow morning in the Philippines. We got Sarah Cords, the amazing. This girl's good. You won't want to miss this show. It's going to be a lot of fun. This girl is really a great writer. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, tomorrow morning, whatever, wherever you are, hanging out here in the Hive. So thanks again, and we look forward to talking with you real soon, and we'll talk to you next time. Stay safe, and we'll catch you next race.